So nice. We had to do it twice. Welcome
Take
back, Pop. How
two.
you doing? Take two. Thank God we only got about a minute into the first pod before we lost it. But take two. Commanders win over the New York Giants. You hear that, Pop? You hear those Super Bowl
Amazing.
chants ringing through the
Amazing.
streets? Goodness gracious. Team can't even tank properly. Just kidding. It's always good to get a
I'm
win.
sure we're going to get a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, logistically speaking, but it's always good to get a win. And yeah, well, what do you think, Pop? Give me your takeaways early on.
Yeah, I felt, we ended up winning the game 29-21. We were in control. The Commanders were in control the whole time. Tried to fumble it away at the end, but we'll get into that
Yeah,
in a little bit. But, generally, I think I felt like the team showed heart. I felt like the team showed heart. It was good to see some of the young guys step up. Again, I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute. I thought we saw some good performances from some of the young players, which is, if you want to see something, um, that's it. Mariota, man, he just gives you a lot of heart, but I also think that, how we made it a little closer than it needed to be at the end. That's what you get when you've got backup players in there, right? In spots that they're normally not supposed to be in. McNichols isn't supposed to be your lead back. Mariota's not supposed to be your quarterback. And so, I think you get a bit of that. But good performance by the O line, reestablished the run game finally, and a good win, I guess. You sweep the Giants, never a bad thing.
yeah. At the end of the day, sweeping a division rival is always good, especially a division rival that, for whatever reason, I mean, we got blown up in our first Giants pregame and postgame, and called all kinds of stuff by Giants fans, and they swore up and down to us that Dable wasn't going to get fired, and they're a good
I remember
team, and
that.
X, Y, and Z. And the one thing they were right about is that we both sucked and they just were worse. They were right about that, so congrats. But yeah, it's always good to get a win against that team. And yeah, it's funny, like we haven't lost to the Giants since Dan Quinn has taken over, which is ironic
Yeah,
because prior to the Dan Quinn administration, the Giants were like, no matter how bad they were, how good we were, we always seemed to blow it against the Giants. I mean, for what felt like my entire life. So it is kind of funny that
it's the
that's where
one
we're
team
at
we
with it
can
now.
beat.
Yeah. Um, I wish they could get into the New York Giants mindset every week, but yeah, it's you start off. It was kind of a pillow fight through the first quarter, 3-0 Washington, and then poured on 19 points in the second quarter. Kind of pulled away, and then got a touchdown there at the end of the fourth, just to kind of put the icing on it. But it was a great game overall. The guys played well until that ending stretch where they
We had
really did try
19
to blow
points
it.
in the second quarter. I did not realize
Yeah,
that. I thought
yeah.
I thought you had, like, it's not a typo because you're talking, but I thought that was a typo. But wow.
No,
So yeah, it
yeah, they
was
kind of
22-7 at the half.
turned it on. I mean, scored
Yeah.
a touchdown. It was touchdown, punt, field goal, touchdown. Uh, sorry, I'm going through it the wrong way here, but yeah, we scored. We had two touchdowns and two field goals in the second quarter. So kind of clutched up there. Got it to 22-7, and you go, okay. I think at this point,
Just the
there
punt
was a
return was the big play.
yeah,
That's what
that
yeah.
was the
Yeah.
that was kind of
I was like,
the
the
play that
offense
turned
didn't
everything
score two
around.
touchdowns, but that was a great return by Jalen Lane. I always hate it when you get a return like that. It's so dynamic. He's so excited, which you got to feel great for him. And there's that flag on the
Yeah,
play. And almost,
which there always seems to be, right?
60-70% of the time it's always on the the returning team. And maybe even more than that, probably 8 out of 10. And so I was just kind of praying. There was that quit, it looked like they were saying it might be on the Giants. You just hope for, they had an illegal man downfield. So you were hoping for something like that. But no, I mean, it's like I said, we were in control the whole time. Those two late fumbles made it a lot more interesting than it did. Yeah, we did the opposite of what we said in the pregame was that, don't let Jackson Dart have a career game. I guess his stats weren't awful, but he did struggle at times. You know,
Regardless of the stats, he looked awful. He was
yeah,
bad.
it didn't look
Um,
like a great game from him, and I think the jury is still out on Jackson Dart. Personally,
yeah,
I think he's got a lot of heart, got a lot of moxie. Um, not seeing the most accurate passer of the football um,
no, I mean
out there.
he had you seen a more accurate passer of the football, we could be having a completely different podcast
Yeah,
today. So it's
yeah,
nice to have. We'll have plenty of time in the future, plenty of time in person in the future with the holidays coming up to
yep.
discuss does it matter and what's it worth and all that stuff. But it's nice to at least have one pod today where we don't have to get on here and say you got to fire everybody and start from scratch. And like, it's just
They
nice
showed
to have
heart. They
one, you
showed
know?
heart. They showed
Yeah.
heart, and I think that's all you can really ask for. I mean, it was a bad day for the Fire Dan Quinn tank crowd for sure. Um, and I don't know, like at some point, is having the fifth pick or the eighth pick that big of a difference? I don't know. We'll see. A lot depends on what happens these last three games too, which are going to be much tougher opponents. Opponents that need wins, which is always going to be a challenge. And we continue to get beat up. I mean, not sure what Bill's status is, but we had no Chris Rodriguez today. Bill got hobbled, towards the end of the game. Laramie Tunsil went down with a shoulder deal.
You're forgetting the captain. Noah
Uh,
Brown got hurt. Captain. We lost our captain today.
that was absurd. I mean, I feel bad for Noah
Nuts.
Brown. I feel bad for Noah Brown in the sense that he just can't seem to stay healthy, and I doubt it's anything he's doing wrong or incorrectly. Um, but making him a captain was just interesting. Let's just say that. But we're going to keep it on the positive vibe because we did get a win. We did, I would say, get a convincing win, if not for, like we said, some flubs at the end.
Yeah.
So feel good about that. I mean, Marcus Mariota, we're he's limited, but
This is a backup.
but his heart is can't be questioned. I mean, you just see him like scrambling, going for runs, really gutting out plays. Um, the fumble is what it is. It was unfortunate. He was trying to make something happen, but he's a really good player to have as a backup. Of course, Jaden Daniels didn't play. We don't really know what his status is going to be the rest of the way. And you're right. It's funny the emotions of going through this because you and I were texting and I know that, keeping an eye on some of the other games going on at the same time. Bill's got a big win against the Pats and um, on a big comeback. But I don't know, emotionally, I wasn't like real into it today.
Yeah, I didn't
I was
care.
bothered at the end that like they looked like there was a chance they could blow it. That did bug
Yeah.
me. But you kind of get guarded, and obviously it's not. There's not a ton of meaning behind a game like this at the end of the day.
Yeah. I started texting I wasn't even texting complete thoughts to the group chat as all those fumbles were happening at the end. I was just, is this about to, like, I just have this feeling of like, wait a second. Are we really about to lose this game right now? Because it started feeling that way, and it started feeling that way in the second quarter as well. I mean, you jump out to that 13-0 lead. New York scores. You punt. You go three and out, -6 yards. You punt, and all of a sudden you're going, uh oh,
Well, I
uh
had to.
oh.
I mean, we're recording this about 3 hours after game time, 2.5 hours after game time, because I had somewhere to be right after the game, and I
Yeah,
was just at the point where my wife was waiting. Said, "Oh, we need to get going at like around 4:15, 4:20." And at that point, I was just like, let's just go. Because if they blow this and if it goes to overtime, God forbid, I don't even want to,
I don't
I
be a
don't want
part
to
of it.
watch it. I just
Yeah,
don't want to watch it. I'll just figure. And luckily, it was fourth and eighth or whatever I think, and I was like, okay, we get to stop here, we're good. And I think my wife had quite a bit of relief that that ended up being the result.
Sure, sure, as anybody would. The whole rest of Washington D.C. let out an exhale. Um, but yeah, I mean, it felt good to kneel one out. We haven't done that in probably since the last time we played the Giants, I guess, right? To end the game with some
Probably the
victory
Raiders, maybe.
formation,
Yeah,
Chargers game.
Chargers
Um,
possibly.
but
Hey, when
yeah,
we win convincingly. It's only four of them in
yeah,
14 games, but yeah, I don't know what it really. At the end of the day, this is one thought I have. Is like, I don't know what it really means. I mean, I do think it's good they showed the heart to come out and play. The guys that were out there played hard. That was good to see after last week's debacle. I
sure,
thought
yeah.
I thought the game plans on both sides of the ball were really good again. Obviously Dan and in his interviews before the game, and then I think his I think it was a halftime interview. Running the ball was something that you could tell he mandated and said that's what we're going to do, and it's good to see what that offensive line, you know, can
I
do when they
just,
impose their will.
I gotta say it. I don't know why. It just doesn't make sense to me that you seem to show the capability to do things of this nature. Um, at times, and then you just don't at others. I just don't understand. Like last week, when you
No,
have your starting franchise quarterback coming back off an injury that you want to protect, why that commitment to the run against the run defense that's just as bad as New York? I mean, I think New York was last, but Minnesota's literally 31st against a bad run defense. I don't know why you don't commit to that more? Why is the game plan not similar defensively against the JJ McCarthy who can't handle pressure the same way Dark can? I don't know. It is boggling to me the parallels and how different from one week to the other this
this is
team
a
looks, but it's been
wild.
this way all year, you know?
This might be a wild take, but I think that Cliff is kind of still learning, believe it or not. Like, I think they talk about all the hours he puts in. I think he's got a good offensive mind. I think they just get to the point where, okay, we got Jaden back. We got all our starting receivers. We got our full offensive line. Here we go. And not even think about the fact that this is the first game you've got with all those guys. A bunch of them are just coming back off of injury. So establish the run, pick and choose your spots for the big plays. It just, I just don't, I think there's almost, I call it arrogance a lot of times, but I almost wonder if it's just an experience or just, I don't know. I mean, it sounds crazy. I know he was a head coach for a long time, but it just, it doesn't make sense. But, and it's frustrating that they figure it out in a meaningless game, when your season's already been lit on fire.
Well, the
But
only meaning to this game is if you lose, it's so apparent that this thing is like there could be no greater statement for
it
disaster
would
than
be
to lose
awful.
your ninth straight to the New York Giants that are reeling, don't have a head coach, like about to get their GM fired. Like just there's been no organization in the last 5 years that has messed it up more consistently, maybe other than Cleveland, than the Giants. And yeah, there's no way to if you lose that game, I mean, that's the only thing that I can explain is that like this was a everybody's coaching and playing for their lives kind of game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's right. But I also think it's kind of like eventually you do understand. Well, this is what it takes to win. And I told you this, and I kind of believe it to a degree. There's like when Jaden come, they've just been wanting to make it work with Jaden and wanting to make it work with Jaden, so that when he comes back, they go from 0 to 100. They just think, okay, we're back, baby. And they try to just be that high powered offense that they were last year immediately. And, that's just not how it works. When you're not out there consistently playing game in, game out with, and not, there was never an opportunity with the gel. And that's why I think all this talk pregame about, Jaden's regression this season, what happened this season is explained so much by injuries. Like no one really wants to talk about the injuries. And I've got no issue personally if you're saying to yourself, because we've said it, right? I'm worried about Jaden being able to stay on the field because of his play style, because of his competitiveness, quite frankly, and because of his frame. That's a fair concern. Trying to run Trying to reach judgment on Jaden based on his play this year, I feel like it's impossible because I just don't feel like he's been able to get in a rhythm. Look, he played one of the best games of his career. I didn't say that. Analysts said that when he played the Chargers, right? Earlier this year. It's an incomplete. Like if you're gonna grade Jaden, it's an A plus last year, and this year's grade is an incomplete. And that's concerning, but I'm not at all concerned that he didn't play well. Like he never got going, you know, assuming he's not playing again, which I guess will be a storyline throughout the week. So, um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's where we're at. At this point, it's a yeah, it is a funny thing. It's like hard to not even end up in a melancholy place once you get to the end of a win, because it's just where the season's at this point. And it's like if you think too, like if you look at it on the surface, you beat a division rival on the road, great. And then if you start thinking too hard at it, the more you think about it, the more it starts to kind of dissolve, I'd say, in terms of like
yeah,
the long term meaning. It starts to feel a lot more like a whoop de doo kind of situation. It's like, oh great, we won, cool.
it's just
Um,
relief, like we talked about, right? It's an ability to have, when we listen to all the radio shows tomorrow morning and you listen to this one, we could talk about it being a victory Monday. You don't have to talk about a 9 game losing streak now. There's relief on that. It's Pepto Bismol. It's like Brioski.
yeah,
We should
exactly.
say
The
it's the Brioski. That's a better one for us. But that's pretty much
infection
all
is
it
not
is.
cured, but you just get a little break from the symptoms. It's
Ooh,
timely.
took a turn.
Um, but yeah, anyways, it is what it is, man. And I say we move on. You want to hit the awards pop?
We can. We're gonna have awards. It's been rare. It's
Might as
been
well have
rare.
might as well have some awards today. Generally, I tell Pop we ain't doing awards today. We did win today, so it's hard for me to say we're not doing awards today. So let's do it. So, uh, Sauce Award we're gonna give to Bill. 18 carries, 96 yards, touchdown. He had that long 16-yard run for the touchdown at the beginning. Solid day from the young man. Frankly, it's hard to pick a total Sauce Award. He did have the fumble. The fumble was I you
Luckily
start.
recovered by our guy.
Thank God
Yeah.
Connerly fell on it. That's why you spent a first round pick on that guy. But yeah, I don't. He's got to not do that, man. That's you see why he's not on the field when he does stuff like that, but you also see why they were so excited about him when you see the way he ran today. So he's a seventh rounder. He didn't play a lot of ball last year. He's a young guy. He needs to develop.
You don't win that
But
game without him today. And
definitely,
they got lucky on the fumble. He got lucky on the fumble, but you don't win that game. He's the one player I think you could say that about today.
yeah,
You don't win that game without Bill. And so that's why I
definitely,
thought he's deserving. And yeah, you're right. He's got to clean that up, but he can do that. I mean, and I was happy that we saw the Bill from earlier this year today.
yeah,
That was
agreed. I
encouraging.
mean,
And I think it was part of a few young players, which we'll talk about, um, making plays today, which is probably the most important thing to see over the next few weeks.
definitely, and I mean, yeah, it was good to see him kind of back to similar form to what he looked like in LA, where when we were there, I mean, he looked like the next coming of Barry Sanders.
McNichols had a rough day.
Um, oh.
He averaged zero point 0.7 yards a carry. So Bill was at 5.3. So
and a fumble that
yeah,
went to the other team.
that one was tough.
It was tough. So getting into helmet stickers here, Jeremy Nichols will not be getting one. You've
Yeah,
got Terry McLaurin, 3 for 69, a touchdown. He had a 51-yard long touchdown reception there. Good run after the catch to finish the play, which
another
was
really
awesome.
great sideline grab.
Yeah,
We saw that again. So yeah,
great
anytime
player.
17 scores, I'm happy. I mean, he's still his production in terms of the number of touchdowns he's scoring based on the number of games he's played. He's still at a really great clip. He's
Yeah,
continuing on with where he
he's
was last year.
he's developed. He was always this kind of like speedster, deep threat with great hands, good on contested catches, but he's developed into a real like he's got a real nose for the end zone. I don't know how much of that is like just in Cliff's offense in particular. They tend to feature his position more, but in these last couple of years, he's
I
been
think that's his third touchdown of the year. So,
in
with
what
as little as he's
as many
played.
games, four
Yeah.
games, 5 games.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's kind of got a knack for scoring, so it's always good to see him do that. Um, Otherwise, Jalen Lane. Speaking of guys that have been able to make it into the end zone, we were kind of laughing about making Jalen Lane the rookie who muffs the punts, and you're kind of nervous about it every time he's back there. Uh, Recently, at least, making him captain
Yeah.
this year, and they made him captain, and man, he must have had a good week of practice. They must have known this was coming because he went ahead and
He
house
looked
one. So
dangerous out there.
it's
And
great.
then,
He's
yeah,
like the kid. Like it's like he can't decide if he wants to be B. Mitch or Steven Sims. It's like pick one. Like, but he's developing. He's in. That was a great. It was a great return, and I think you do have somebody that's at least worth competing for that job going forward with him.
it looked like, I mean, fielding the punts too, he seemed very confident. Whereas, for a
Yeah,
little while, he lost a little bit of that. He did really great there, securing the ball. Looked dangerous. The announcers were even suggesting they kick away from him. So that's always good to hear. You'd love to get a little more out of him in the pass game, but passing the ball really wasn't an emphasis today in general,
yeah,
right? So, you know, Marcus only had 10 completions all day. So there's
yeah.
not a lot of balls to go around in the pass game.
Going back to the stickers here, you got your next one for another guy that it's good to see start taking a step in the right direction is Mike Samerstill. Playing much better out on the boundary now, had that sweet interception, pretty good return. Um,
Almost had a second one on a fourth down play, I think.
yeah, they got
Yeah.
him playing back outside. I mean, he only had 3 tackles, but that's a when you're playing outside cornerback, you don't want to have a lot of tackles because that normally means they're throwing to you a lot.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. And I think overall, like I understood on paper why you wanted to move him back inside. But based on what you saw from him inside, I think you got to rock with him outside opposite Trey Amos next year, and maybe just go get a slot from somewhere else because
Seems
he's
that way.
certainly much more helpful on the outside, and that's good. You got a starting outside cornerback with your second round pick. That's fine. Why we don't have to get married to him playing a position that clearly he can't play in the NFL. So I'm happy to see him back outside
Yeah.
and see him doing well. Um,
Great.
Antonio Hamilton Sr., a guy I didn't even know was on the team. He's got our next helmet sticker. And that's a guy that
Played
at
well.
several points in the game, I went 34 again, 34 again. Played very well. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't have too much in depth
So
analysis
32
for,
year old, he's 32 years old. So he's obviously been around.
yeah.
Not one of those young guy performances, that's for sure. But
No, why would we have one of those? But
yeah,
it's good to, yeah, it's good to see him. It's good to see him out there and doing his thing, man. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
otherwise, I mean, getting down this list, I guess Quan Martin had 9 tackles today. Bobby Wagner, of course, always going to be in that top three defensively. And I don't know if there's any honorable mentions. Pop wanted to do a little Mariota shout out offensively.
I'm not. Like I said it earlier, I thought he played with a lot of heart. You know. So it was good to see Ben Sinnott. That was a nice
Yeah,
route. right, nice route and catch, and that was on a big sequence there where we needed it. So that was good to see. Like to see more
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah,
So
Benson had a that was a good catch. You're right. That
yeah,
was he looked the part there. And then he was back in a fullback on the next play. So, you know, to take it for what it's worth. But it's good to yeah, it's good to get a win. It's good to get a win, regardless of all the other
without a
factors
doubt.
and things available. A win is a win. And I
I
say,
would much rather come on here and do what we just did, which is talk about a win, even though it's too little, too late. You could argue, but versus the
well,
alternative.
it ain't an argument. It's too little too late.
Yeah,
You've got 10
yeah,
losses. You know, if you have this win in week 4, you feel a little better. But yeah, that's where we're at. And I say we oh, you want to get into the kickouts of the game? What's the
yeah. You
kickouts
got
of the
it.
game,
Come
Pop?
on, that's our one of our calling cards. You got to do that.
Gotta get to it. It's gotta be all the fumbles, right?
Yeah, it was those two fumbles at the end.
Yeah.
We just tried to give it away. When they're running down the field, pitching the ball to one another, like, and think, they did go back and look. Weren't sure whether McNichols was down or not,
Yeah.
but it was just, oh my God. And, even though the whole time watching the game, I'm going, this is meaningless. This is meaningless. Win or lose, it's meaningless. To just fumble it away like that would just be, I mean, horrible to have to sort of deal with that and sit with that all week. So,
Yeah. I mean, it definitely would have been just almost poetic for how the rest of the year's gone. But yeah, I kind of had the multi-view going, and I'd been once we went up like 22-7, and it was like 29-14 or something like that. I was like, all right, we're in pretty good shape. I saw the Bills were charging back in that game, so let me get to
yeah,
take advantage of my Sunday ticket here, get that going. And that was not I moved the audio over to that, and so I was kind of like listening to that but watching the Commanders. um and all of a sudden, like, I looked over for one play and I look back and I see like Brian Burns running and the ball's being pitched and whatever, and I'm, are we about to lose this game? Like, what in the world is happening?
we were
Flip
trying.
back over to it, found out what had gone on, and watched Dart just looked terrible for that last drive, and thankfully we didn't have to worry about it. But yeah, it's always good to get a win, always good to not have to rehash all the same stuff. I agree with you, Pop. I don't know how much just really changes how I feel about any of this. It's just a win is
That's it.
always good to
Yeah,
have. So
yeah. I don't know what it really means at the end of it all, but
no,
probably
nothing I
better than
can
the
do.
alternative. So
Sure, always
yeah,
is. So
we
housekeeping
got some
wise on
good
our
games.
end.
We got some good games going on now. So let's end it and go watch those. Right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we got the Eagles coming up on Saturday. I don't know exactly when you're going to hear from us next. We got some holiday travel. We're moving and shaking. So you'll hear from us at some point. Thankfully, we're not chasing like the number one seed down the stretch in a key moment here. But
Yeah,
yeah,
schedule
and
might be adjusted a little bit over the next
yeah,
couple of weeks, but we'll be
schedule will
we'll be jumping
definitely
on.
be schedule will definitely be interesting. But we'll
But
be
Dom and
on.
I will be face to face quite a bit, so that'll be
Yeah, we'll
so.
be
Yeah,
on and chopping it up a good bit. But what do you say we wrap this thing up, Pop?
let's do it.
All right, without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop,
Thank you all for another great week, and
and
hail
with
to the
pride.
Commanders. Well, we got to
Hail,
go left hand. Almost went right hand. Hail.
hail.